The Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv. Check out Amove TV for more podcasts covering Blizzard games. And for more of Jocelyn's gaming podcasts, visit jossplays.com. The Angry Chicken is brought to you by our legendary patrons over at patreon.com/TAC.
Time's up. Let's do this.
Legendary!
You face Jaraxxus. You smell like a leper gnome. I knew it. So hot.
A podcast about Hearthstone and Battlegrounds. This is The Angry Chicken!
Greetings and welcome, everyone. This is TAC. I'm Garrett, here as always with Joss. And how are you doing on this fine Hearthstone week, Joss?
I'm here.
That is how I feel. That is very much how I feel. You know this. No one else does. I had a huge medical scare last week, and everything's fine. Got a clean bill of health this week, so I'm feeling great. But everything in between was this weird haze of I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I know those feels.
Yeah,
The waiting is the worst.
I'm so relieved though. Like I'm great, but I have had essentially no analytical brain for the last 7 days. It was just, what's happening? I'm just gonna blindly play Battlegrounds and try and take my mind off of things and not overthink this too much. And you can see me misplay, as a matter of fact, if you go to the YouTube right now. Oh, wait, no, actually, that would have been before all of this. That was the Lich King game that I mentioned on last week's show. It's up on the YouTube now. You can go right now, youtube.com/amovetv, and see me commentate over the single most absurd game of Hearthstone Battlegrounds I've ever had. Seriously, if you think you know luck in Hearthstone Battlegrounds, you don't. You need to watch this Lich King game. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, but beyond that, a little nutty this week. Well, Hearthstone just won't let the Battle Pass talk die. So we're gonna talk about that some this week. We're gonna talk about the new Tier 1 heroes in Battlegrounds and talk about kind of the dust settling from that really big balance patch that we got for Battlegrounds. So we've got quite a bit to talk about, not to mention a ton of questions. I'm sure we won't be able to get through all of them for our email segment, but that just means we've got a show for you. And now, before we get to it, I want to thank those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. You can go there right now, and it's basically an opt-in subscription. If you like TAC and you want to support what Jocelyn and I are doing here, that's the best way to do so. And you get yourself some perks, like an ad-free version of the feed, which you get your own RSS feed, and you plug it into your RSS reader, and you just keep getting the show like normal, but there's no ads in it. It's great, except last week when I accidentally uploaded the wrong MP3 and someone had to remind me, hey, Garrett, we got some ads in here. And I was like, crap, sorry. And it was in the middle of me redoing my studio, so I was like, I won't be able to fix this for a while. My computer is actually in parts because I gave it a deep clean.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I need to do that. Mine, I'm sure, are just disgusting.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. That's why I keep mine elevated. But you are like me and love and own many animals, and they tend to get their furs
Two very, very long-haired animals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My golden retriever's hair is this long.
Yeah, it just...
Plus, mine.
It just multiplies and just refuses to leave, like stealth minions and rogue. You're just like, how do they keep coming? Well, they're there. And it's always something you need to fight against. Anyways, check it out, patreon.com/TAC. Get that ad-free feed. Get access to our Discord server and other perks. Go check it out. We thank you for your support, everybody. And now, Joss, let's go ahead and get into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
We got a hot fix, and normally, Joss, we don't even bother talking about hot fixes. They're usually, what's the opposite of so hot?
Super cold.
Super cold. Okay, I was trying to think of so hot, Oh, so not, says
Oh, there you go.
RG365 in the chat room. That's great.
See, I'm telling you, my brains might as well be leaking out my ears today, honestly.
Hearthstone hotfixes are usually so not. But the last couple of the last one was pretty interesting, but this one is also because the hotfix that happened before this one was the cards that discover cannot discover themselves. That was a huge change with really large implications for your regular play of Hearthstone, of constructed Hearthstone, and and non-constructed, because that would apply to Arena as well. But now hotfix 18.0.3 has hotfixed Nosdormu out of Dream Portals. So Ysera, pretty popular minion we're used to dealing with quite a bit by now and hasn't really shown any signs of stopping post Scholomance. You're not going to see Nosdormu pop out of those Dream Portals anymore. And again, like, this is a hotfix, but that's a really big change. Like, we've all been there, right? Like, Joss, how many times have you been there and just, like, blind panic the second you see that stupid dragon come out of the Dream Portal?
Well, it's funny because it often happens to you on your turn first, right? So it's like you're just sitting there, you get your natural card draw, out comes the Dream Portal, and bam, 15 seconds, go.
I'm trying to think if there's a quicker 180 in your gut feeling in a game of Hearthstone than that exact thing. Because when you see a Dream Portal and it's yours, your initial immediate thought is, oh, yay, free dragon. And then Nosdormu comes out and you just go, shit. And you just scramble.
Wrong dragon.
Start playing. Like, you just need to go. So.
Yeah, and I think this is, again, I mean, I feel like we've talked about Nosdormu quite a lot in the last, year, 2, 3 years. You know, he has a very unique and interesting effect that seems to cause the team all kinds of crazy problems. So basically, you know, with all the animations, the Dream Portal, he comes on the board, your turn is much, much faster. You have to reconcile everything. Again, you have to reconcile all the animations of whatever you want to play before your turn is over. And, you know, like, it seems like the more we try to do in a turn and the more animations are tied to those cards that we try to play, the more problematic Nosdormu becomes. And they seem to not really know what to do with him, but he seems to keep causing problems. So they're just like, okay, you know what? Unless you are absolutely like choosing to play this card, Nosdormu just isn't in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I mean, how many? I feel like he comes up maybe 2 times a year where we mention him on this show and are like, why
he's made bugs or something? Yeah.
Why is he still in the game? Like, and this isn't even like brush him off under the rug that is wild. Like, maybe we just need to.
Well, yeah, because it's not like his problems are standard only, right? Like, his problems exist. That he creates problems in standard and wild. Basically, anywhere he's played, he creates problems. So it's the kind of thing where, you know, they need to fix something. I don't know if they ever kind of realized how much Hearthstone was going to change in the interim between designing him and coding him to now. Like, Hearthstone is quite a different game with all the different effects that the cards have on them, all of the different things that need to resolve in a turn, and all of that kind of comes together to create those Dormu bugs. So I kind of agree with you. Like, normally I'm very much keep the cards in, even if they rotate to wild. Like, don't get rid of them, don't, you know, nerf them, don't change, you know, back to the whole soul of the cards argument. Like, I like the stuff that they've created for Hearthstone, but I feel like he just has so many problems associated with him that I would be fine with them almost giving him like the Battleground treatment, right? Like, take him out, fix him, bring him back later. You know, just, yeah, we have enough cards now that losing one card from the classic set is not going to actually break the game and give us no options, right? No one plays him naturally anyway.
I believe we could lose a lot of cards from the classic set and it would have no impact on the game whatsoever.
There is also that. But this one in particular seems to be at the center of quite a lot of bugs. So, yeah. Take him out, figure out a new way to kind of fix him and go from there.
I agree. Well, let's get to kind of the big topic of the week, which is a sequel. More pre-conversation from Team 5 on the subject of the Battle Pass, a upcoming feature that still hasn't technically been officially announced. It's just been officially confirmed.
Yeah, so this came from the player survey, and so it was more, the survey was worded like, what if we did this thing? Would you be yay or nay? And now they're like, okay, we're seriously planning this thing. This is what it all means because you guys went a little nutso.
Yeah, and under, like, I get it. I mean, you know me, I'm usually the first to kind of push back against like the pitchforks and the torches and the upvotes. But like, I get it. I think you and I have just been at this a little too long, Joss. Like, I just can't help but look at this just as like almost like politics in a way. Like, this is like a game, like talking to your player base and giving them pre-knowledge of anything, and the language you use and the words you choose, it's all part of a game. And I feel like now anytime I read anything like that survey, I was going through it going, oh, well, this is going to rile people up. That language is going to ruffle some feathers. Okay. And that has kind of been the case along all of this. But to me, it's now kind of how I like to analyze these things. I like to think about like, well, what was the intended like reaction of the communication here? Because anytime someone from Blizzard makes a post or they send out a survey or anything, like they took some time to think about what they're going to say to you. Right?
Yeah.
Because it can cause issues. You don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. That's always like a quick route to the coffin for games, right? So,
which can we just talk about that for a second? Because I feel like we're taking player surveys as announcements, which I really don't think that we should be doing. I think that we should be interacting with the dev team and we should be telling them like, yes, that's a cool idea. No, that's not a cool idea, but not taking those surveys as gospel. They're literally asking us what we think. And, you know, we're never going to get any crazy off the wall ideas if they start treating these surveys as straight up announcements, right?
Well,
like they're never going to think outside the box if they're worried that the community won't accept the box. They're just going to start dismissing things out of hand instead of asking us what we think about some super crazy ideas that maybe could lead to somewhere good.
No, I think that's fair. But it's also just like asking for your feedback in the first place. Like there's always going to be a broad range of feedback. There's always going to be extremely negative, extremely positive, everything in between. But the things that are usually a little more heated tend to get the most traction. Even if it is not necessarily like the majority. It's kind of like the loudest voice in the room sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like, and overall, I don't know. I don't think the discourse around the idea of the battle pass has been that bad. Like, of course there's outliers. We could pull a Talius and Nevitel and go pull some comments out and do a bit about it. Cause some of them are absurd and take it too far and they're too ridiculous and angry. But like overall, I've liked the back and forth. I think Team 5's been handling it pretty well. And I think the Hearthstone community's been handling it pretty well. I think it's kind of working as intended. Like that, like you said, the survey is like, well, what do you think? We want to get your kind of pre-thoughts on a system like this. And that's exactly what the community is doing. It's just that the community is not necessarily doing it to the survey because we didn't all get the survey. I didn't get the survey.
Right. No, I didn't get the survey either.
Yeah. But clearly like Team 5 has made it seem like they don't mind. They like that we're all getting on the conversation because they keep replying to our thoughts in the public forums. And so like, I dig that one way or another, like whether there's portions of this proposed system that I disagree with, I like the conversation and I like that Team 5's being open because they haven't always been this way. Right. So that's kind of my thought there. When I get into like nitty gritty things about like, oh, you probably shouldn't have used that terminology there. Like that's just my analytical brain looking at this as like a game. Like there's right words to use, wrong words to use, depending on the reaction you're trying to get from the community. And in reality is there's probably no way to get a perfect reaction. There will always be somebody who's just like, no, I'm not a fan of this. And that's fair in some cases. So anyway, we're bringing this up because Iksar is back from his social media sabbatical, I guess, if you want to call it that. And I don't know about you, Jocelyn, but when I'm off social media for a while, I usually like to ease back in with some nice memes or whatever. Iksar just like, like high dived head first I'm not going to make a Speedo reference, but all into this, right into the deep end, and diving in, replying to more concerns on the Hearthstone subreddit about the concept of a battle pass in Hearthstone, and kind of clarified some things, or kind of like doubled down on things we've heard in the past about the battle pass. And so once again, it seemed like it was pretty a murky understanding within the community that rewards were being removed from quests. And so that was once again clarified by Iksar. I already had that understanding from the survey and also Ben's comments in the last AMA. But Iksar once again kind of like drilled that home that, yeah, rewards are going away from quests. Experience is what you're going to earn from quests in this proposed system. But
right, so quests will still have a reward. They just won't be rewarding gold.
Yeah. Iksar refers to it as gold and non-gold. And so like he basically divvies up like the two types of rewards that currently exist in quests as we know them into gold, which is the most common thing we get, and non-gold things like packs or cards or whatever. And so that his conversation kind of dances around those two thoughts, because the whole thing is that you're now going to be gaining experience towards unlocking rewards through the battle pass system, which go back, I think 2 episodes and you'll hear us do a deep dive into what a battle pass even is if you've never like interfaced with one before. Which if you're like a hardcore Hearthstone fan, you haven't. So I don't blame you.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, so really just clarifying that out, really kind of carving it in stone, it sounds like, as much as you can carve something in stone when it's not an official announcement. And then once again, kind of echoing Ben's comments from the AMA saying that you should not earn less gold or non-gold rewards in the new system was a big thing that Iksar was drilling home here.
So stuff we're getting will not change in the negative, in that, like anything that we are actually getting now, we'll get that or more in this new proposed system. Now, I mean, this is kind of like, I understand where people can be hesitant or potentially frustrated around this idea, because you've got like, it's the same idea as like the Heroes of the Storm store, where you have to spend real money to buy a currency to then do another thing. And the more steps that you put between the real money, or in this case, not the money, but like the effort you're putting in, the more steps you put between that and the thing you actually want, which is the cards, then, the more convoluted the system becomes, the harder it becomes for the consumer to actually know what they're getting for their time or money. And so I understand how that system can be a little bit harder to follow and might make you feel like maybe you're not getting as much as you were. So it means that you have to have a lot of trust in the company and the system that's there to say like, okay, what I'm putting in, I'm getting the same or more back again. And the more steps that they put in between there, the more convoluted it becomes and the harder it is for a consumer to actually assess that. So I understand the concern around this potential new system. I think, again, it just is going to come down to whether you trust Blizzard or not, and, how you decide to go forward from there. But I think in general, the Battle Pass sounds like it's going to be okay. And I think, this new system with the gold and non-gold rewards, I think is fine. Again, as long as in the end, we're getting more than we were now, because, no one wants a new system to come in and get less.
Right, exactly, and that's where this is that's where this is interesting, because like this is where I want to get into like really nitty gritty about like word usage in Iksar's reply, because in like the first paragraph of his reply, it goes, quote, "In nearly all circumstances, you should be earning slightly more gold and more non-golds," which he puts in parentheses, packs, etc. In nearly all circumstances is going to raise eyebrows. Like what circumstances is that not the case? From, kind of reading his entire reply as a whole and also looking at Ben's response and also the survey, just everything, it seems like that all in nearly all circumstances might be like diehard players, like that play a ton of Hearthstone, people like streamers or pro players, which obviously wouldn't affect the vast majority of Hearthstone players, but that's where my brain goes. And if you're going to put a lot of effort and make a big deal into kind of overhauling your progression system, I think like the simplest like thought around this I have is that like it just has to give more across the board, no matter how like what tiny upper percentage of playing far more Hearthstone than the average user is. I don't think it matters. I think if in this day and age, the way press and community reaction revolves around the games industry, like if there's any hole to poke in this system of, oh, well, my favorite streamer is now getting, 10 to 20 less packs on average based on gold because they used to cap out their gold max every day or whatever. Like that's going to become a big talking point of the community.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think my biggest potential problem here wasn't even really addressed. Like Iksar did go in to say that like he wants this new system to be good for everybody and that your XP per level and XP bonuses and stuff are all going to be things that they're going to be able to tune and tweak in case they screw it up, which is all fine, but they didn't really talk about the idea of, like levels, like my big concern of levels costing you more XP every time. Because that's my big problem is that I hate the idea of, if I play every day, if Hearthstone's my only game, and if I make it all the way to the end of if I'm working my way through the battle pass, that I get a bajillion rewards in week 1. And by the time I make it to the end, I might be getting 1 reward a week. Like I want it to be rewarding the whole way along. Cause I feel like, me and you, Garrett, and streamers and a lot of people listening to the sound of my voice, like, you guys are the guys that are seeking out Hearthstone content on top of Hearthstone, you are very much the hardcore Hearthstone crowd, whether you consider yourself a casual or hardcore player, it doesn't really matter. You're putting a lot into the game of Hearthstone. You're putting a lot of your time in and, you want those players to be rewarded, but at the same time, like you don't want things to feel out of reach for an actual like more casual player. So I know that it's a hard balancing act, but I really, really believe that we as hardcore players, those of us that are putting in quite a lot of time every week, should be consistently rewarded throughout the course of a battle pass. And they didn't really talk about that here. And that's the part that really worries me. I trust them enough to give me enough rewards that I'm not losing out on anything versus how I earn things in game today. But I want to make sure that I'm, like by the end of the battle pass, that I still want to play just as much, like that I'm still going to be getting a whole bunch of rewards over the course of my playtime during a week. And they didn't really talk about that. And that's my biggest, like, hang on, guys, maybe you want to look at that point.
Yeah. I sure. My stance on that is that I agree with you entirely, which is my stance the last time we talked about this. So it's completely unchanged.
Yeah, I was really surprised that they didn't really talk about that at all. They really just discussed, or Iksar really just said, like rewards, but didn't really talk about the pacing of those rewards. I
mean, the Reddit post that he was replying to didn't really mention it either, and I haven't really seen any comments in the community. Like I think you're kind of like on the concern that no one's talking about, in my opinion.
And it's kind of funny because the way that we're currently rewarded in the quest system is that we get a kind of consistent pacing of rewards. You get a daily quest every day. You do that daily and you get the reward, and you know that the next day you'll have another quest and another quest. And it's like every day you play and you get a something, whether it's a chunk of gold or, a pack or card back or whatever. But our rewards right now are consistent. If you put everything into a battle pass, you'll be rewarded experience every day for completing those daily quests. Sure. But that experience is going to get you less and less the more you play. And that feels bleh.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm really, I don't know. I've kind of like simplified my concern, which is at the end of the day, like, it is true. Hearthstone has gotten better in how it rewards us and how many rewards we get.
Yeah, we used to get nothing.
Yes, it's true that it's gotten better, but there now exists true competition for Hearthstone. For the first time in its existence, we have Magic the Gathering Arena and we have Legends of Runeterra. Both are very popular, both are very successful, and both are, in my opinion, what was Magic, somewhat debatable. I think it's better than Hearthstone. Legends of Runeterra, no debate, infinitely more accessible than Hearthstone. Like, it kind of puts Hearthstone to shame. Luckily for Blizzard, I much prefer the gameplay of Hearthstone. But there's some heavy hitters out there that are more accessible. And so, like, I kind of look at the Battle Pass being like, why are we even having this conversation where we're hemming and hawing about you should get more? Why not just design it where just across the board it's just better?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why isn't that the messaging?
Whole entire argument. Yeah. Just be like, no, it's just going to be better. We're just giving you more. Go.
Yeah. So that's just kind of my thought there. Like, this doesn't have to be insanely better, but just tune it to the point where it is just undeniably more stuff for everyone, because there's definitely room in Hearthstone.
The everyone is key too, right? Because the idea of the Battle Pass is going to be that there is a, free and a paid track. So, are we just talking with all of these responses? Are we just talking about the free track? Because then that's a really good thing, because that means anyone who pays into the Battle Pass is going to get even more rewards. So, is he talking about all circumstances being for those of us in the free track? Or is he saying, if you give us money, you'll get the same stuff as normal? Like, because that's, I think, also a concern, is making sure that the free base track is better than where we currently are. And then you've got your free track and then your paid track on top. That's more.
Or like, at the bare minimum, the free track should be undeniably equal to now.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, that is everything that Iksar talked about, just referring to the free track of the Battle Pass, yay or nay, because that's, if they're saying that with the paid Battle Pass, you'll get the same rewards as now, that's bad. that's more worseness.
Oh man. The butchering of the English language on this episode is phenomenal.
Blame chat room.
I am aware. You're right. Hula Gaming, more betterness, less worseness. That's what we want to see.
Someone make that into a sign,
please. Yes, I would like to see some picket signs. And so, I don't know. Like, I would be really surprised if you did pay for the Battle Pass and you don't get just obviously more stuff than we get now. On top of the fact that there were details for things like hero portraits you can level up, which are just things that don't exist at the moment. So you, of course, are going to feel like we're getting more. So, like, I'm sure for me, as someone who is like totally going to pay for this, it's probably going to be a good experience. But I could just see us sitting here whenever this comes out, I don't know, probably late 2020 or early 2021, going, everyone's really mad because the track of the Battle Pass that you do not pay for is a lot harder to get the same rewards than we were getting prior. And I don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
That's a boring technical conversation to have. And we've done this a while. It feels like we're kind of on the track to that extremely technical segment of the podcast. So we're out there, Charlie Day with the yarn going, if you look over here, we used to get X amount and you can get that amount, but it takes 3 extra weeks because the XP ramps up. And then I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Let's not do that. Please and thank you. So, anyways, but other than that, like, if this really does, if what Iksar says, which is in nearly all circumstances, you should be earning slightly more gold and non-gold, then awesome. Great. Let's just make sure we aim for and hit that target. And I think we're going to be all right. But there's like so much gray area where I'm really, and it kind of piggybacks off your concern about the ramping XP, is that I hope there's not so much like gamified gray area of how you even get to those rewards and the speed at which you hit them, that we're not all sitting here having to mad scientist an explanation for, is it the same? Is it equal? Is it more? Who knows? So, I guess we will see, Joss, eventually, when we actually get a proper announcement.
When we get exactly. When we get a proper announcement, because that's also the thing, right? Is that we're getting all this information about a not finalized, not announced product. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy in and of itself.
Yeah. But again, good. I think it's good. I think it's rad that they're having this conversation with us.
Yes.
So those are my thoughts. Just make it undeniably a win. That should be the target. That should be the target. And so anyways, we're going to get into talking about Battlegrounds next. So before we do that, we have a sponsor to thank today, and we will see you on the other side. Just taking a quick minute to thank today's sponsor, Quip electric toothbrushes. You can go to getquip.com/tack right now, and you're going to get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. When's the last time you got rewarded for brushing your teeth? With Quip's new smart electric toothbrush, good habits can earn you great perks like free products, gift cards, and more. You've probably heard us talk about Quip a million times on Tack, but this is something brand new that rewards you and your mouth. The Quip Smart Brush connects to the Quip app with Bluetooth. Track when and how well you brush, get tips and coaching to improve your habits, earn points for daily brushing, and bonus points for completing challenges, things like streaks. And you can redeem rewards for things like free products, gift cards, and discounts from Quip and partners. If you already have Quip, no big deal. Just upgrade it with a smart motor and keep the features you know and love. Features like sensitive sonic vibrations, 2-minute timer with 30-second pulses for a guided clean. Their slim, lightweight, and sleek design with no wires or bulky chargers to weigh you down, and a multi-use travel cover that doubles as a mirror mount for less clutter. You can start getting rewards for brushing your teeth today. Go to getquip.com/TAC right now and get your first refill pack free. That's your first refill free at getquip.com/TAC. It's spelled GETQUIP.com/TAC. Quip. Better oral health made simple and rewarding. We thank them for their support.
Have a good battle, friend.
We had a very large Battlegrounds balance patch relatively recently, and we saw Kings fall, or Queens, I guess, in Eudora, going pretty far down, although not all the way to the bottom, kind of nestling into
pretty close, though, man.
Last I checked, did she drop again?
In the shins. I checked this afternoon, and she was like 5th or 6th from the bottom.
Oh wow, yeah, she was lower than I thought. I had a really good Eudora game this past week, and so I was just like, oh, she's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. Almost seems like she's missing.
Well,
from
I think
my,
that's
from
the
my
thing.
list.
Is
oh no, there she is. Oh, jeez, yeah, she's low.
That's what I mean. She got kicked in the shins and fell over.
She is below Illidan. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were kind of curious how things would shake out. Lich King got buffed, and like even with like less than 24 hours worth of stats to look at, Lich King was already on top, and we're like, okay, looking like Arthas might be the way to go. And now if you head on over to something like HS Replay and take a look at overall average placement, the Lich King is doing quite well. But there's a twist. There's a twist, Jocelyn. Maiev Shadowsong has overtaken the Lich King ever so slightly, as long as we're looking at 7,600 MMR and above. So this is the top 20% of the player base on HS Replay. So,
which I think makes a lot of sense, because I mean, if we look at the lower MMRs, then Lich King is still, cream of the crop, and that makes sense, I think, because it's got a lot of the same arguments that we see with, like harder to pilot decks in standard, is that Lich King is quite straightforward, right? Like he's very much a, what's my best minion? Maybe something with a death rattle or something. What do I want to bring back? Maybe my taunts to get one more protection on my minions. Like, Lich King seems to be straightforward, flexible, but it's easy to understand for a lot of different Battleground players, versus Maiev, who is very good, but brings a little bit more of like the economy into the game, brings a little bit more finesse. And, you know, when you play her, you want to do things like, I remember last time we were talking to Slissa, she was like, oh yeah, you want to, you know, think about what triple you're going to need 2 or 3 turns from now. Like, she's much more complicated, and to get the most out of her, there are very specific ways to play Maiev that you don't necessarily, she has a higher skill cap than Lich King, I think. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, you know, that's why I think she's edged him out. She's just over Arthas at the higher MMRs.
Yeah, it is close though. Like, even if you look at
still,
top 50%, which is 6,300 MMR and up, like, they're within point.
They're neck and neck
of each other, with Lich King being on top. So I thought we should take a moment. It's been a while since we talked about Maiev, as you mentioned. I think it was last time we had Slissa on, was last time we really kind of talked about the hero. And so, yeah, this is like our new tier 1, because the last time, you know, it used to just be Eudora sitting at anything above an average placement of more than 4. Because like right now, both Lich King and Maiev are at 3.8, and then point something between that, and that's how they decide who's in on top of who. But then you go below that and you get to tier 2, and it's Rafam with an average placement overall of 4.1. Again, we're looking at 7,600 MMR and above. And so,
which is interesting. I haven't seen nearly as many Rafams as I did when he was, you know, when he was the top. Well, then it seems like
I am jealous of the embarrassment of riches of the people who are getting offered both Rafam and either Maiev or Lich King in the same pick, because that's why you're probably not seeing.
Yeah, that's very likely. Yeah, because I've had a Lich King in every lobby.
Same. And the ones where that doesn't happen, I'm assuming he was just not offered.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so, like, once you hit Rafam, the average placement, it really tightens up. Like, the delta between Rafam and then Kael'thas coming in at 4th place, it's 4.11 to 4.14 average placement. And that really close-knit spread between average placement continues all the way down the hero line, like, basically from there on out. But so that's why Maiev and Lich King, like, that's why they're considered tier 1, is there is a noticeable spread between those two and every other hero in the game. And it just comes down to, like, and this is the case with Rafam, this is the case with Kael'thas, and sort of the case with Nozdorma. Like, these are all heroes that get constant guaranteed value out of their hero power, right? But Maiev and Lich King just eke it out ever so more, which is a terrible phrase. We're just doing bad English today.
I was just gonna let it go.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, yep. Garrett, ever so more. You own that.
And I think Slissa brought this up last time, but it bears repeating that, like, if you want to simplify the way that you think about Maiev, is like, think about Maiev like Rafam. Like, we all, I think everyone, the popular opinion is that Rafam is a good hero, right?
Yes.
And I don't think anyone thinks there's too much finesse in playing Rafam, right? It's just like, make sure I spend 1 gold every turn on my hero power before the next turn. Cool. And maybe don't do it on turn 1, because it's extremely unlikely that you're going to have a token to sell and get a kill and whatever. Rafam is simple. It's very simple. Yes. We understand why he's good and how to get value out of him. Well, Joce, what if I told you that you could be Rafam, but you could pick the minion? You'd be excited, wouldn't you?
That sounds really great, Garrett. Can you tell me how?
I want, like, the bad infomercial graphics now to call now for Maiev Shadow Song. That's Maiev, like, in a nutshell, right? And now there's a lot of extra nuance in there in ways that you can manipulate the fact that you're freezing a minion over 2 turns, but you can use it to your advantage. But, like, I think, like, saying think about Maiev like Rafam, but you can pick your minion is, like, the simplest way to boil that down into a concept where you can relate it to another hero. And so let's talk about it. If Maiev is similar to Rafam, and she is, you should level the same way. Rafam is unique in that if we think about a standard Battlegrounds tavern tiering up curve usually go to tier 2 on 2, tier 3 on 5, and tier 4 on 7. Because then on turn 5 and 7, you're going to have exactly 3 gold to buy a minion and enough gold left over to just level up without having to sell anything.
Level, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
These are Battleground things that I know.
Yeah, so that's your basic level up curve. But Rafam, suddenly I can get a lot of value out of 1 gold because I get a minion. And so Rafams have turned to leveling to tier 2 on turn 4 and just buying minions and using the hero power all the way through. This is actually very similar if you're going a big demons build as well. Like you find a Wrath Weaver and some demons really early on. There's enough demons in tier 1 that you can just stay on tier 1 until about turn 4 and then try and either double level or go up to Tavern tier 3 a turn late on turn 4. That can happen with big demons. That can happen with Rafam. You want to do the exact same thing with Maiev because you should be hero powering every single turn on Maiev. And yes, I do think you should be doing it on turn 1.
What?
Blasphemous. No, I mean,
but how? Only with a token or just period?
No, I'll just take damage on turn 1 if I don't have a token.
But Garrett, I don't like taking damage.
I don't like taking damage
really
either.
Nervous.
But if you could choose to only take damage on possibly 1 turn, very likely you could also, might get unlucky and hit someone on turn 2 that also didn't level up, or they're a jerk, aka Pyramid, and they're just going to decimate you no matter what you purchase.
Yeah.
But in most cases, you have at least a decent chance of only taking damage on turn 1. Worst case scenario, Joss, if you had to pick the 2 turns in the game, you could pick any 2 turns, Joss. I'm telling you, you're going to take damage, but you get to pick the 2 turns. You'd pick turn 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
So it's
obviously. I guess it's fine.
She's more or less fallen off, but there was a time where we all windmill slam picked AFK when she was offered to us.
Yes, that is also true. And I think if you put it in that light, it makes a lot more sense because, I love AFK, still love. She's just phenomenal. I want that cupcake. Anyways, she is I really like her. I always have really liked her hero design. So I am down for AFK, and explaining it in that way makes a lot more sense because she's a hero I could wrap my head around, and you just accepted that you were going to take damage on the first 2 turns for a huge power spike the next turn. And I think, if you start thinking about these wait and see heroes, because I don't think Maiev is the only one. There's a couple of others that you might choose to hero power instead of doing other things on those early turns. And if you think of them like AFK, then it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, exactly. Your health is a resource. Again, you play big demons. You're not worried about taking damage. You have to grow your Wrath Weaver. Right. So it's a resource as much as anything else in the game, as much as gold, as much as minions, as much as minions that sell for 3 gold. What's up, gambler? How you doing? And so yeah, I always hero power on turn 1 as Maiev. Even if I don't find a token. If I do find a token, rad. I might be able to get something on board, but I'm probably losing even if I do that on turn 1.
Yeah, because you're even probably going to have a 1/1 or a 2/1 on board, and then that's not that great.
Yeah, exactly. So, I hero power every single freaking turn. The only time that changes is late game when I'm on tier 6, because if you have more than 1 minion frozen, you actually miss out on a minion roll. Because it doesn't leave enough space for all of the minions at tier 6 to be offered.
Right.
So that's the only time where I change that. And then we've talked about it before, but it bears repeating. Part of the reason Maiev is so powerful is because picking pairs, it's a 1 gold investment. Like any other hero, you're like, I really want to pick up this pair, but is it too greedy? It's a 3 gold investment. You're not even sure if you want to use it. It's 1 gold is Maiev. Pick up the pair.
I feel like I might actually be like the greediest Battleground player ever because I always buy the pairs. Always.
This is an aside. What's the pirate that reduces your tavern cost by 1 when you play it?
He's a tier 1 dude. Yeah, I can't remember his name though.
So my next Battlegrounds clip is going to be an insane big demons game that I had, and you're going to see in that game I roll at one point and come across 3 of those all in the same turn, And I'm just like, doesn't matter. I'm losing horribly. I can't. I don't have time. I need to scale. And you see me pause for a second. I had to go past. Because it just wasn't. It was going to take too many turns to actually complete that triple. It wasn't going to matter. But yeah, I don't always pick up the bear. It depends. But with Maiev, it never depends. It's just like, yeah, why not? It's 1 gold.
Yeah.
And then the same thing as it was mentioned last time Celissa was on is like, there's a lot of times where delaying completing a triple is great because it means you have time to tavern tier up to the next tier, thus, getting access to a higher tier discover minion. So that's the other thing that really just makes Maiev awesome. On top of the fact that all of these minions that you're freezing are getting buffed.
Right, which it was something I had totally forgotten about.
Yeah, it feels like when heroes get to the 3+ average placement, when they break out of the 4 average placement, they get nerfed. This has happened with every hero that has gotten out of 4 average placement, by the way, on HS Replay. I don't like to take stats too much as scripture, but there's definitely a trend here. And so if they're gonna nerf Maiev, I bet they're gonna go for that buff because it kind of feels like you don't need it.
Yeah, it's that win more bit, right? Like just the economy and everything else is like just that part of the hero power is good enough. Doesn't really need extra stats on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so all of that pretty much is the Voltron that makes Maiev awesome. So I have not had her offered to me enough recently. I really like playing Maiev, so because I feel big brained, even though I'm going to freaking hero power every turn and I know it. I feel smart when I play Maiev. And then there's a Lich King. So we should probably talk about why the new Lich King is so good. You ready for a history lesson, Joss? It's classes in session.
Absolutely.
He used to suck. Used to be terrible. Hero power used to only target the rightmost minion, so you had no choice over what minion got it other than where you position your minions. And so it was like, I think we both were like, oh, it protects my juggler when I'm going juggler demon comp in the early days of Battlegrounds. But like, that was kind of it. Like it had some kind of built-in synergy in that usually your rightmost minion was the one you were trying to protect, Mama Bear and Beast comps, juggler and juggler comps, and so on.
The mech guy, Junkbot.
Junkbot, yeah. God, do you remember when you used to be able to win games with Junkbot?
Yeah, I miss those days.
I climbed so quick at launch Battlegrounds just by forcing mechs every game. Didn't matter. I could just get there. It's like it felt like a guaranteed top 3. And now it seems like top 4 if I'm lucky with mechs. But yeah, that was terrible. Then they made it so that you could target what minion got it. And by the way, there was always a gold cost associated with this. It cost 1 gold. It used to only be rightmost. Then they changed it to where it still costs 1 gold, but you could target. And I thought you could go back to the episode where we talk about the patch where they made it so you could target with Arthas. And I was like, oh, he's going to be great now. Nope. He like barely moved. I don't think he actually had any upward trajectory. But recently they made it free and now it's insane. It's just crazy because like I feel like we all already knew how to get value out of this hero power. We already knew what death rattles, what minions like brought value with being able to get reborn.
Right. And then because they changed the cost to 0, it's like you didn't have to take your economy into account anymore at all. And you just win in the early game because it's like having an entire extra minion of like over and above what everybody else has. So yeah, I mean, it's absolutely way more powerful. Like I was gonna say 100 times more powerful, but that means that, I actually have stats, which I don't like, but it's way more powerful than it was before, just because you no longer have to sacrifice your economy in any way. You just straight up can do this every turn from turn 1. Like we just talked about Maiev and how, you'd have to take some damage early and everything else. Arthas doesn't have that problem. Lich King can just come in and be like, and now you're undead, and now you're undead, and now you're undead. Come back, conserve.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. It's so good.
It's like kind of at its, I feel like at its worst, it's an 8th minion slot in combat, which is awesome. Like if that's like the low end of how effective this is, obviously you get into like maybe it's worth half a minion if you're putting this on minions that have less or like more than 1 health, because the Reborn is only going to come back with 1 health. But there's so many minions where this just equals you had another one on board. It just didn't start on
because
board.
There's stuff like you can put it on spawn later on. You can do it on Gouldren, like the death rattle stuff that'll like buff your whole board, or things that you want to protect. Like you mentioned juggler, it's still totally valid to put it on a juggler if you're doing a juggler comp, though why are you? But that's a whole other thing. But you know,
maybe there's a lot of divine shields in the lobby. If that's the case, like juggler comp's kind of rad.
but yeah, so it's very much like you can either protect minions or double down on some death rattle effects. A lot of the death rattle comps are very strong. There's a lot that you can do just with this Lich King power, and there's literally no downside now.
Yeah, it's just awesome. And so also I think beasts getting buffed helped a lot, because Lich King is amazing with beasts, and beasts are now amazing. The way that they moved all the beasts around and played with their tavern tiers, it is chef's kiss. Mwah, just the best. And so it's like, why not? And also, like, I started, if you want to go check out the show notes, I jotted down value minions for like kind of all of the minion types, and freaking beasts have value minions at like almost every tavern tier. Like, so I broke beast down into early, mid, late, and win. So early you can just reborn grandmother and you're getting extra 3/2s, because it's basically like having 2 grandmothers on board, or if you already had 2, it's like having 3 but you didn't triple. In like mid game you've got Rat Pack, which is great. Just make sure you put it late, but you should already be putting it late in the lineup because it's Rat Pack. And then late you've got high main. You can protect your mama, or you can just throw it on a gas coiler. And then you've just got like, oh my God, how did I end up against this Lich King when they've got like a Macaw or a Gouldren or both, like late, like super late game comp. Oh, it's disgusting. Cause that's where it's like, goes so beyond just being like an 8th minion, right? Like extra Gouldren buffs. Gross. Just gross. I mean, we're all chasing the Baron when we find our Gouldren anyway. Like, you find the Gouldren, you don't necessarily need the Baron, and if you have the Baron, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Then you got things like dragons. Bronze Warden is just like, I don't care if you're going dragons or not. That's a great minion to reborn. Late, you can get cute with Nadina if you want. That you need to make some tough decisions on where to place Nadina, but you know, you can get cute there. Mechs are another great one that kind of like all throughout the tavern tier curve, there's good options everywhere. Mecharoo at 1.
Well, yeah, they've got a lot of death rattles, right? So that's the kind of thing that you're going to want to double down on.
Yeah. And freaking Mechano Egg again, chef's kiss. I get so excited when I find a Mechano Egg on Lich King. Murloc's not that great. Probably Begurgle is like the best option there,
which is fine.
Yeah.
Don't need Murlocs to be good.
Yeah, Demons is a little more on the subtle side as well, but if you go a juggler comp and you're not interested in protecting your juggler, it's awesome to put it on Imprisoner because it's even more juggles for your juggler. And Imp Mama, even though it would come back with only 1 health, would still net you an extra demon. And then you've got like...
Plus the extra Imp Mama itself, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's just that she's definitely going to die because she's coming back with 1 health.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's 6 extra attack, but get you 1 more random demon with taunt. So yeah, that's kind of rad in its own right. Bolvar's kind of dope in Divine Shields, which is like not at all the super sexy comp. No one's highlighting their Divine Shields games for YouTube right now, but it's kind of fun to put it on Bolvar. And then I don't think it's great with Pirates, which kind of makes sense with Pirates being the lowest average placement for Lich King. But Pirates probably gets like one of my favorite tier 1 minions to grab. It's just that I'm not trying to build Pirates, but Scallywag is amazing with Lich King. And late game again.
Well, it's good to have early, like regardless of which comp you're actually going for, it's good to just know what your early game options are before you kind of even decide on what comp you're going to play. So, I mean, just knowing like Scallywag is a really good option, whether you're going pirates or not. Just like early game, you've got, Kaboombot, Meckaroos, Grandmothers, Scallywags. Like those are your kind of early game options you want to be grabbing when you're playing Lich King.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tide Razor is just basically a better Rat Pack in late game. There are space concerns.
It's a much better Rat Pack.
Yeah, there's space concerns, but it doesn't have taunt. That's why I don't really think of Void Lord as like a value Lich King minion, because it's like, I'm going to throw a Reborn on my Void Lord, and then it's going to die first and not have enough space to get any value off the Reborn whatsoever.
Yeah.
But, it's awesome. And then a double extra bonus mention for Bronze Warden if you're going a Menagerie comp, because that can be rad. So, there you have it. This is why those heroes are great, and you should be playing them and picking them every time if your goal is to climb. If your goal is to have fun, I don't know, like go like Millhouse or something. But Joss, have you played the new Reno? Speaking of having fun.
I didn't know if we were going to talk about him or not, but the new Reno is amazingly disgusting.
Fire. Absolutely fire. And not because he's spoiler alert, a dragon.
Yeah, no, just he is so crazy fun to play now because you can do things that are, I guess, or were impossible before or were a big consideration. Because again, like talking about economy and zero cost hero powers and how much the Lich King had to factor that in. Reno had to as well. His hero power used to be super expensive. And even when they halved it, it wasn't, necessarily playable without really disrupting your economy early on. Since they made it free, you can do super crazy stuff and make something golden very, very early on that you can then build a comp around. So he's just insane now in the best possible way. Yeah,
he's ended in the top 10. Coming in number 7 right now.
And so fun.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I've only had him offered to me once, and I think maybe this might have been last week. I think I had him before the show because I was so close to death. I was just like, I guess I have to make my juggler golden and just hope for the best. And it was a terrible game. But I want more Reno games. Please. Whoever at Team 5 can hit the give Garrett X hero button over at Blizzard headquarters, that would be great. Please and thank you. I hope you brought it home, since I guess no one's working at headquarters. So anyway.
I don't know, Garrett. It's a pretty big button. So probably had to stay at Blizzard.
Pretty big butt in. I'm not sorry.
No.
All right. Well, let's bring it home with some emails.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, you can drop us questions directly in the patron Discord. Skip the inbox entirely. Madras Lover writes in, says, a simple one. Which cards from Scholarman's Academy did y'all underrate/overrate during the reveal season? Oh, you think this simple, Madras Lover.
Right? My very first thought with this was like, oh man, I don't remember what I thought about anything.
Oh yeah, that information like leaves my brain except for like very specific things that I am excited about. And so it should be no surprise to you, Madras Lover, I'm sure, and everyone listening, I'm sure your first thought was clearly Garrett is going to say consecrate.
Wait, what? That's not an Academy card.
No. But I do distinctly remember looking at Allura going, well, I'm never running Consecrate in Paladin again. And I was wrong. Yeah. I was so wrong. I am running Consecrate in Paladin right now, as a matter of fact. So I guess if any, maybe I underrated Allura, which is insane because I'm fairly certain I sung Allura's praises a lot during our kind of pre-expansion discussion. But I think she's performing even better than I had hoped.
I feel like when we had the discussion about Allura, we were talking a lot about how we weren't 100% sure if she would fit the way Paladins were playing. And I think we were right about that because she really didn't. The new Paladin, the buff Paladin, Libram Paladin thing took out a lot of stuff that we said, wouldn't work with Allura and is now making good use of her. And I think that's where a lot of the strength of the deck comes from. So I think I think you're probably right. Allura is one that we were maybe not necessarily underrating, but maybe underrating because she does make that deck go in a really cool and interesting way now. So I think it's fair to say we underrated her for sure.
I'm just trying to drill home that she's amazing, and it doesn't matter how much I talk to her up. She's even better than I talk to her up.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think I underrated basically every new card in Face Hunter. I didn't think like Adorable Infestation was going to be an include. I didn't think that was going to get a deck slot. Also, Intrepid Initiate, like 1 mana, 1/2 spellburst game +2 attack. I guess I should have seen that coming. Now I think about it. Now I think of the war on 1-drops that has been the last 2 years of Hearthstone. I probably should have seen that one coming, but I don't even think we talked about Intrepid Initiate. I think that was one of the ones we skipped because I was like, it's a 1/2, it gets to attack. And then it stops because it's spellburst. It doesn't grow. So it can't be that good, right?
I can't remember if we talked about that one or not. I think we left out a lot of the neutral cards as we have been doing over the last little while. But I think because you kind of go initiate into potentially like a freezing trap or pressure plate or something, like you're going kind of 1 into a spell on 2, I think then you've got a 3/2 that's ready to attack on your second turn, which is really powerful. So I think in this Face Hunter build specifically, yeah, this is a very, very powerful card. But when we were doing set reviews, it definitely didn't jump out. It's been a long time since I've Face Huntered, you guys.
Face is still the place.
It is still the place.
As it would turn out. But yeah, as far as overrate, nothing really comes to mind.
Yeah, the only thing that came to mind in terms of at least myself overrating things is the Sphere of Sapience. It's
you know what? Never mind. You're right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
100%. Me. Yeah.
It's definitely one of those cards that has found its way into a deck, but it's not like I literally thought that card was going to be in everyone's deck. Everyone's going to find a slot for it. And as a result, everyone's also going to run oozes. Like it was very much, and there's a lot of weapon hate out there right now, but it is definitely not because of the Sphere. Not at all.
Yeah. Which honestly, I'm glad it's not doing well because I think it proves that effect isn't too powerful, and maybe we can start putting that effect into like every damn class, please, or spreading across even more neutrals. Just treat it like auto-tune and modern rap in the last 15 years. Just put it on everything. Everything. Please and thank you.
Yeah. So I think the Sphere is something that I personally overrated. I think I probably also overrated Boneweb Egg. I thought that was going to be really good, and we're not really seeing it being played at all. Maybe it's being played over on the Wild side. I haven't had a chance to get over to Wild since the expansion, just because, playing Standard and playing Battlegrounds with the big Battleground update over there too. Wild, I don't play a lot of Wild anyways. So, I'll get there, but it'll be a few weeks yet. But Boneweb Egg, I thought it was going to be really good. I mean, whether you play it or discard it, you get, spiders out of it. I don't know. I thought it was going to be great. It's not.
I thought so too. I was pretty stoked on Boneweb Egg. So maybe that's another answer for me. Did you already mention Voracious Reader?
No, I haven't talked about my my underrated cards yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were going on order of notes, and I was like, did you slip that in right before Boneweb Egg and I missed it?
Nope. But in terms of underrating cards, I think there were a couple that I thought were going to be decent, but they're all over the place now. And I think it has a lot to do with just the amount of aggro on the ladder, people wanting to climb, all the rest of it. But the cards that have to do with aggro, so Voracious Reader and Tour Guide are both really, really popular and really, really good. The Reader, how its effect only impacts you instead of who was the old one that had a similar effect? It was a legendary, Jeeves. I think. Jeeves
was not a legendary.
Yeah.
Jeeves was rare,
anyways,
I want to say.
Jeeves, that one was you and your opponent, right? So this effect is just you, and you just draw until you have 3 cards. It's really good when you don't have a lot of cards or you're playing out everything every turn.
Do you know what I'm going to hit you with now?
What?
Hashtag Garrett was right.
Fair enough. I mean, like, drawing cards is good. I just, I guess I maybe, if anything, underrated aggro in general and how good aggro decks and how popular aggro decks were going to be, which is my bad. People like aggro for climbing. And obviously the tournament meta is going to be a little bit different. But yeah, there's a lot of popularity of aggro on the ladder. So yeah, those two, I didn't necessarily think that those were going to be as crazy.
Well, do you want to know what we were definitely the wrongest on across
what were we
the board?
The wrongest on?
The number one thing we just missed the boat entirely on. Animated broomstick.
Yeah. Yeah, chat room saying the broom is evil. Absolutely. Yeah, that thing is crazy.
Animated bastard is what I have started calling it.
Oh, man, really?
Yes.
That bad?
It is a bastard card.
It is, yeah.
You're really... never safe. You think you're safe. You think your board is safe. You think it's safe to commit to the board.
Yeah.
And then you just hear sound of sweeping coming towards you to ruin your day. Hope you enjoyed that Foley work, everyone.
Yeah, it was great. Very ASMR.
Just the worst. Just the worst. Yeah. But I'm with you. I feel the sphere of sapience. I can't believe that didn't immediately jump into my brain. But
yeah, and I don't even remember if we talked about broom.
No, we skipped that one as well, I believe.
Yeah. Because we just, that's how underrated those cards were, right? Is that we looked at them and just went, meh.
Those are the
we
types
don't even need to cover this.
Broom was one for me that was a huge just wait and see. Like, I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was necessarily good. I just wasn't sure how it was going to fit into this meta.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it didn't jump out to me as, I don't know. I didn't have the head for it, I guess. But anyways, who's our next question from?
Our second question comes from Lord Commander, who asks, what are the decks that you were excited about that you wish were better, and decks that you hate to play against? At which point, a couple of other members of our Discord jumped in and said, Garrett, you're not allowed to say priest. So
you can't do that. You can't ask me this question and not say priest. Okay.
No, you're not
I'm
allowed.
not saying priest. Reality is replying priest.
Well, for me, I've got to say, I actually don't really hate playing against anything right now, priest included. I'm having a really good time. I feel like Scholomance is actually the best meta I can remember in a long time. Even when I come up against Demon Hunters, it's not the end of the world anymore, you guys. So yeah, this is feeling really good to me. There's nothing that's making me wish that we had a ban on ladder right now, which maybe was the point that they were trying to get the whole time when they were saying, no, Joce, you don't need a ban on ladder. They finally given me a meta where I agree.
Yeah, I'm in a very, very similar boat. Beyond priest, like I don't have a new answer. But
I feel like that's more like your priest fatigue, and like my demon hunter fatigue. It's just kind of the if I could never play against this class again, I'd really like that because I haven't enjoyed playing against them for insert number of months here. But is there anything that you're really like thinking is too powerful and really unfun?
The closest thing I get to properly tilted right now is probably against Stealth Rogue, which I also play, so I don't get I can't get that mad about things that I myself abuse. So yeah, I don't. It's just the type of player I am. Like, I like my games to be relatively quick, and so like, if I had a Hall of Fame for things I hate the most, it was like Control Warrior was honestly like probably dominated that for the longest amount of time.
Stuff that makes the game go an hour long.
Yeah, like it's weird because I like back when I learned how to play Magic very, very late in life. I didn't start playing Magic until I was in my 20s. I loved playing control decks against my friends. It was so much fun to like for us both like control versus control and just have so much junk on board and just creature on creature combat. I love it. But in a game like Hearthstone, where like it's just like your rank, that's what everyone gives a crap about. Like it's just about logging games. So anything that gets in the way of that, always grinds against my enjoyment of the game. And so, yeah, like
I can see that. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I can see that.
Yeah. A tournament mode or a best of 3 or something that was more based on your performance and not just seat time, would alleviate a lot of that. It's part of the reason I like freaking Battlegrounds so damn much is there's that gray area between winning and losing. But yeah, overall, no, I'm pretty happy. I Rogue and Druid are probably the 2 classes I cuss at the most right now. But at the same time, the amount of times like I get to just grin as Druid bricks horribly and I just run them over and they can't do jack about it is like I actually remember those games. And so I know it must not be that bad because there is psychology at play. We do remember negative experiences more than remember positive ones. And so the fact that I can still think of like, oh, you stupid Druid, you thought your deck was good. It is. But sometimes it bricks. It happens. So, and I don't even run. And honestly, Priest isn't that big of a deal because I don't run into it that much. But when I do, it's just like, and I even have a good win rate against them. It's just laborious.
Yeah, fair enough. So because I know obviously you thought / were hoping that Paladin would be really good and it is. So, obviously we were fine on that front, but is there anything that you were stoked to play that didn't kind of pan out to where you wanted it to be or that you hope would be better?
It's entirely selfish. I wish Totem Shaman was even better. It's really good. You can climb ladder with Totem Shaman. I wish it was just a little bit more degenerate. Like I love it. I really love Totem Shaman. But no, this is a long about way. You hit the nail on the head where like I really like this meta. I think it's super healthy. It has amazing diversity. I really don't have any strong complaints.
Yeah, for me, I was super excited about both the soul fragments in Warlock and then also I guess Mizaki Mage soul or a small spell mage, whatever you want to call it. And I think that although the Mizaki combo is cool and fun and crazy when you pull it off, there's just better builds of mage out there right now. So I wish that somehow was more viable without going down the like freeze mage type, I guess, path. I wish that you could just continue doing like cool tempo-y random spell fun generating things up until you do your big combo. But that build of the deck just doesn't really seem powerful enough. You kind of have to rely on just stopping what your opponent is doing, which I don't necessarily think that freeze mage is fun for me playing it or my opponent being frozen all the time. Freeze is probably one of the most frustrating mechanics, I think, in Hearthstone, at least for me. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that kind of variant of it ended up being the way to viably climb with it on the ladder. And then Soul Fragment Warlock, there's basically the build of that ended up being Zoo, but with a couple of Soul Fragment, I guess, granting cards, like generating cards that are essentially just used because they draw a lot of cards and they need to heal because they are also damaging themselves quite a lot. So I think some people call it like a pain warlock or whatever. Like it's the one where you're doing a lot of damage to yourself And your healing mechanic is basically soul fragments. So you don't have really any soul fragment spenders. Like the soul fragments that you have are just for random draw healing.
Yeah,
so.
that's I looking at soul fragments after the fact, which is always easier than trying to judge its power beforehand. It's got to be a hard balancing act.
Yeah.
I don't remember your thoughts, but I remember being very afraid of soul fragments.
I was excited about soul fragments in Warlock. I didn't really love them in Demon Hunter because I was like, come on, they don't need to heal anymore. But I thought that the Warlock cards were really interesting, and I thought that they were kind of cool. But they're basically just being used as a way to heal, which is fine. But I was hoping that the build of those things would be a little bit more powerful because. And maybe they'll play with soul fragments in the next expansion too. I know they said that this is our dual class expansion, so we won't be getting any more of that. But, that doesn't mean that they can't put Warlock and Demon Hunter just like separate specific cards that interact with this soul fragment mechanic in some way. Because I think it's a really cool idea. I love the idea of, much like Bomb Warrior, like putting something either in your deck or in the other person's deck. I like in your deck because then it's like, it kind of has a cost in and of itself, right? Because you're putting more things in your deck. Now it's a cast when drawn effect sort of thing. But I don't know. I like the design of soul fragments and I want them to do more. And I want what they do to be powerful enough that you want to build like a soul fragment deck, not throw 2 or 3 cards into your existing like Warlock archetype in order to get some healing, because you're hurting yourself all the time.
I'm of two minds because I like them as is. I think it's cool to have this heal effect that's just chilling in your deck and it heals you when you draw and draws another card, so there's no downside really to it. And it's just, and also the way it interacts with things like fatigue and whatnot. I think it's cool. But at the same time, I think it would also be really interesting if we had soul shard spenders that were worth it.
They were compelling. Yeah, exactly. And worth, making the decision between keeping those fragments in your deck for healing or, saying, oh no, what I actually need right now is this powerful effect instead of healing in a couple turns or something,
Yeah. I don't think more decisions to be made is a bad thing.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like, kind of like the Sphere of Sapiens, it's like, this is a really cool idea. Can we get it on more things across more classes? Yeah. That would be great, because this idea of these passive effects via cards that have undrawn effects, I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface. And soul fragments are a really cool continuation of that type of card design. So bring it.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I fall on current decks that I was stoked about, and the current meta. I think we're in a good spot. I think they really did a very good job with Scholomance Academy, which is a good thing because I was worried after Ashes of Outland, I'll be honest.
I was concerned as well. I shared your concerns.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. I was also terrified of Demon Hunter, and now it just seems hilarious.
Yeah, now it seems like they've brought it down or they've brought everybody else up. But either way, it feels like it's just in a better space in the meta. So I'm not down with Demon Hunter yet. I'd still delete it if I could, but I don't absolutely hate my Hearthstone life anymore. So it's okay.
Yeah. I'm going to actually jumble around here because I think we got time for one more. And I'm going to take Zatoichi's question, which Zatoichi says, Battlegrounds question, what hero is the most in need of improvement and how would you change them?
Do you want to go with my notes here? Do you agree with my thoughts?
I just saw you had notes, and so I figured we'd use this one as the final one. But I share your concern, and also spoiling your notes with Galakrond. Like, it's just obvious. Galakrond sucks and has sucked since Galakrond hit the game. And
I feel like he might just be a straight up like delete and start over. Like, what they're doing with him just does not seem to be working.
I almost want them to just be like, and use Galakrond as a jumping off point, being like, we're going to try some crazy things, and we may just change it like in a week if it's too nutty. Like, Galakrond, so it's right now it's 1 gold for the hero power, and you replace the minion in Bob's Tavern with 1 from a higher tavern tier, and then you freeze it. But you still can't roll, right? Because it gets rid of it if it's frozen. So that in its own right is just dumb. Like, well, let's make this work like Maiev, so you can roll, because it's just so bad and so unintuitive.
Yeah, I don't know why you can't. Like, I wish that they could somehow make it so that you could roll, because that was my first thought. Is it was almost like a Maiev like permafreeze sort of idea that you roll around this minion, and I mean, I guess I don't know.
I mean, you should do it at the end of your turn, or like at the end of your rolls, but you don't know if you want to do that, or I just give it a little more flexibility. But really, like, let's get crazy with it. Okay, Joss?
Okay.
Let's, would it be too long if it was like you buy it and you just get 2 copies of it? Let's just be nuts. Let's maybe make it cost more, but you get 2 copies of the card.
Oh, I don't know about that one, Garrett.
Just get crazy. Just get crazy, because this is
pretty crazy.
This is a booty hero power.
Insta pair for 2 mana.
Well, think about it. If it's from a higher tavern tier, you're not at that tavern tier. So it's a lot harder for you to actually like roll into a triple.
I don't know, man. That seems busted.
I mean, they broke Arthas, so why don't we break Galakrond?
I guess. I don't know. That seems like too much.
It probably is.
2 gold for 2 minions? Like, it doesn't even matter what that minion is.
Hell, 3.
You just want to.
3. Why? I didn't say it was 2. I just said let's increase the cost and make it way more powerful.
For some reason I had like just increase up to 2 in my head, and I was like, are you insane?
We have figured out like how there's been a major trend in Battlegrounds of driving down the cost of hero powers, because for the most part, expensive hero powers are not worth it.
Yeah.
And so at the moment, actually, so looking through, there are only 2 heroes. I'm not counting patches because it gets discounted. There's only 2 heroes with hero powers that cost more than 1 gold. Oh, wait, no, sorry. 3. I forgot about Akazam Zarak, as does everyone else. But you've got Yogg, Akazam Zarak, and then you've got George at the highest of 4 gold, which makes sense for Divine Shield. Let's find how much is too much. Like, let's.
I kind of like maybe the idea of like, hey, 2 for 1 minions. I just like I don't know. The fact that they're 2 of the same minion, I think, is my sticking point, because then you only have to randomly find 1, right? To then have a pair, which seems too strong. If it was just like for 3 gold, you get 2 random minions, I think that would be fine. It's the pairing that's just, because triples are just so powerful, right? That was the whole problem with Eudora. So with triples being so powerful, the less you have to do to get closer to a triple, I think that's where things start to get really, really scary. But, so if you're guaranteeing pairs every single time Galakrond hits that hero power, not to mention just 2 minions in general, which is basically like, even if you just sell them for gold, his hero power, if you made it cost 3, you'd get 2 gold back. Like, again, that's 1 gold for random high rolls.
Let's do it.
I don't know. Like, I would be cool. I would think it would be more balanced if it was 2 different minions, but the pairs I think is too much.
I'm just in let's get crazy. Let's try a different trend. Let's trend in like the hero powers are going to get more expensive, but we're going to increase the power level significantly and find where that balance is. How can we design another high cost hero power that is worth the cost?
Right.
And I feel like Galakrond is like ripe for it because it's just such a garbage hero.
Yeah, he's definitely a character you can play around with for sure, because he is so bad.
Great on HS Replay. I'm going to go to all players. 28%. What are y'all doing? Why? Why would you ever pick this hero?
What are you thinking is worse than Galakrond that's making you choose to play as Galakrond?
Are there 28% of Twitch streamers letting their chat room decide what hero they pick? That's all I can think of. That's the only thing that makes any sense. There's like no reason you should ever pick Galakrond. He's so freaking bad.
Yeah.
So freaking bad.
Yeah. And you know, other than Galakrond, I think Illidan really caught my eye too. He's definitely not at the bottom of the pack like Galakrond is, but he's not very high. He's in the bottom 10 heroes, right? So I think he's also never really, even when he was brand spanking new, he was never the absolute best must pick him. He never had his Eudora moment, right? So I would kind of maybe like to see him get the Lich King treatment in that you make the hero power targeted so that it's not dealing with positioning as much, but then only let him do it to 1 minion instead of, 2 minions or something. Or I don't know, but like play around with a targeted hero power instead of, because that still lets him mess with positioning in a way. Because normally, your leftmost minion's going to attack first. So in Illidan's case, any minion can attack first, but you don't have to mess with the rest of the positioning of your board. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I'd like to see them at least try him, because I don't know, nobody really seems to pick him. I don't see him very often. And he's, has a fairly, I don't know off the top of my head, Garrett, if you still got HS replay up or not, but
bottom 10, I believe.
Yeah, bottom 10. I don't know what his actual placement number is, but
he actually begins the bottom 10. He is the king of the losers.
The king of the worst. Got it.
Just above Eudora, who nestled in just below Illidan. Average placement is 4.75. So getting close to that 5 territory, which there is only one hero sitting at average placement of below 5, and that's Galakrond.
Yeah. So
right above Galakrond is Arana Starseeker, and I think this is it's hard to have look at Battlegrounds heroes and their hero powers and think about where you do adjust. We always talk about the idea of it's a knob that you can adjust. Especially lately, we've been talking about the hypothetical battle pass. They can really adjust with knobs, like how much XP you get, how often you get the type of rewards. But values in Hearthstone are really hard. It's not a knob. There's no 1.5. There's no 1.25. But with Arana, you have this, you have to refresh 5 times. They've already reduced this once. There's still a lot of wiggle room there. We could make this 4. We could make this 3. And I don't see why we don't just keep taking turns off, because she's doing very poorly.
Yeah, it would be one thing, to be messing with it if she was kind of middle of the road, because then I think you could make the argument that, again, with our values in Hearthstone being so large in a lot of cases, the change between 1 and 2 gold or 1 and 2 mana, we don't have the ability to tweak by 4 and 5% the way that some other games can tweak the damage that you do or the, defensive powers that you have, whatever, where our values are these whole number values and you can't play around with them nearly as much. I think you get into these situations where when stuff is kind of middle of the pack, it's better to have them there than have them, make that 1 mana gold, whatever change and have them all of a sudden rocket to the top or the bottom. So I think, it is difficult to balance in those cases, but I think where Arana is right at the very bottom, other than Galakrond, she has a lot of room to move in that upward direction without overdoing it. So I think you're right, Garrett. They absolutely could decrease the number of times she needs to refresh before she gets her bonus for the rest of the game. And, they could probably, because she is right at the very bottom, they could tweak her up 1 or 2 rolls less and she would then be middle of the pack to top of the pack. And I think that's okay. Because again, she hasn't really had that, time in the spotlight. They kind of dropped her in and she was just not very good. And still, even after her buff, is not very good. So,
yeah. Well, before we go, and we can keep this short, of the bottom 4, let's say, so worst case scenario, Jocelyn, you get into a Battlegrounds lobby, and these are your 4 choices. Test Greymane, Nefarian, Arana Starseeker, or Galakrond. Which one do you choose?
Maybe Tess?
I would go Tess.
Or maybe a Rana, either or.
Those
but
are the two,
I probably, I would not play Nefarian. The only time I take Nefarian is if I've got Finley and get offered his hero power, and then it's a lobby where Divine Shields are probably going to show up.
Yeah,
but that's a lot of very specific conditions to pick Nefarian, with a lot of information that you get as Finley that you don't have when you're picking Nefarian, the hero himself, right? So you need a lot of very specific information, I think, to make Nefarian a valid pick. And so that game would be, I'm not going to pick Galakrond.
George is in the lobby. Oh wait, you have no way of knowing that. Wait.
Well, you do if you're Finley.
If you're Finley.
Yeah.
George is in the lobby, and mechs and dragons are draftable.
Yes, exactly. So very, very specific conditions. And then also you get offered Nefarian's hero power, right?
Yes,
there's a lot of RNG and conditions to be met in that case. But obviously there are some lobbies where Nefarian would be great, but the problem there is that you just don't have that information with him as a natural hero and not a Finley hero power, right?
Yeah,
so
Tess and Arana for me as well. I like Tess and Arana from a playing perspective. I like the way that they play. Like, I like having 7 minions offered to me very early, and honestly, I like Tess's hero power. It just doesn't bring home the bacon, I guess.
Yeah.
So maybe try making that one free. Get one free refresh, and you get the minions from, because that would be interesting, because freaking Nosdormu is so high up.
Yeah.
Nosdormu does great. What does that mean for Tess? Does Tess suddenly overtake Nosdormu because it's a free refresh and you have an idea of what that refresh is going to include? That'd be kind of cool.
I think,
That'd be kind of cool, is all I said. I was just tacking on.
I thought for some reason, I thought you said, do you have a cold? I'm like, no, I have a cat.
Do you have a gold?
But yeah, no, I think her hero power is really interesting. But I think it's so dependent on your kind of opponents and what they're doing and how they're playing. So yeah, I don't know. She's interesting. I like her a lot. I like her design a lot, but yeah. I'm literally getting attacked by a cat right now.
Wonderful.
He's pulling my earbuds out and I can't hear what you're saying.
Delightful.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
Delightful. All right. Well,
sorry, Garrett.
No, it's all right. It's going to bring us to the end of the show anyway. Thrall knows that it's time for dinner.
Yeah. Thrall's like, feed me already. Let's go.
Thank you for your questions, everybody. Keep them coming. tacpodcast@gmail.com. Again, if you're a patron, just drop us a question in the patron Discord. Skip the inbox entirely. Speaking of our patrons, we love you so very much. Thank you for actually helping us pay bills. Head on over to patreon.com/TAC and consider supporting the show. If you like what we're doing and you want to support us, that is the best way to do so. And a huge thanks, by the way, to our producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. If you want to become a Patreon producer, check out patreon.com/TAC. Other than that, you can find us at amove.tv for every episode of the show ever made. You can come join us over at twitch.tv/amovetv for the live recordings and hang out in the chat room. Everyone here is very kind, very nice, fine folks. But Joss, you do more than just the Angry Chicken. Where can people find you when you're not doing this?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays, or you can go to jossplays.com to see links to everything that I'm working on. I'm going to pimp Faz because we're doing some really cool stuff in Warcraft right now. We've been posting every Friday and the show's been a lot of fun. So if you're interested in World of Warcraft, go and check out For Azeroth. It's over on Warcraft Radio.
Go check that out. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter, amove.tv for everything that I produce. New Into the Nexus tomorrow and doing WoW Killer on Friday this week so we can talk about the first Afterlives short. I saw Arthas in the teaser for the Uther one, Joss.
There's a lot of really cool stuff in that.
I'm such a fanboy. I'm trash when it comes to Arthas. I'm trash. Just put me in the garbage next to that new statue, by the way. It looks like butt.
Yeah, I saw your post and I was like, it's so true. That old statue is just so good. And
it's also more expensive, frankly. It's significantly more expensive, which is why I don't have it. That old Sideshow Collectibles Lich King statue is incredible and incredibly expensive, but Oh, that new one? No, thank you. Not for me. Not for me. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for the show, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you next week with a brand new Angry Chicken. But until then, job's done.
Job's done.
And that's a show. Gonna click the shit out of my pen. I got a clicky pen too. I got a clicky pen because I like those fountain pens, but they dry up. And so this is the exact same brand, exact same type of pen, but it's a clicky pen, and for some reason it doesn't dry up, even though clicky pens have an open end. But now I have a noisy pen to play with. All right.
I have so much cat hair on my face. Like I just
I
love him, but he's so floofy.
My freaking racing chair for my racing sim rig over there, the cat lays on it, and it's suede Alcantara, which just grabs hair and holds onto it for dear life. It's disgusting. It's a black chair. It is starting to turn to grayscale.
I have backpack.
I need a fidget cube.
On?
Yeah, I should get a fidget cube. Oh my lord. Jeez. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Normally one of my favorite things chat room to fidget with is twisty ties because they're quiet. And I do keep them nearby, but now that this pen is here, it's new and I want to mess with it.
I play with hair the like hair telephone bands? Wire hair bands. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. That doesn't that's not hard to take out. It doesn't like pinch your shit.
No. These things are the best. These things are great. Huh. They're like, they're great. They're so comfy. They don't like pull. They don't put like kinks in your hair like a traditional elastic. Like, oh, they're great.
I didn't know that.
They're the new hotness.
I'll have to ask Katie if she's aware of this because she definitely doesn't have any. Definitely doesn't have any.
The cats love them, though. You have to be really careful. Thrall goes absolutely nuts, but then you roll them in your hands, and then wow. Nice. Yeah, I play with them too much. Yeah, he's a very floofy boy. He's fine. I love him, but literally everywhere he lays, if he's there for more than like I don't even know an hour, it just like as enough to just kind of like roll around a little in his sleep, and then it's just like poof, Thrall hair. Like I will never clean that all up. Yeah,
gross.
I brush him all the time. Like he cleans himself all the time, but he just always is shedding so much hair. I don't know where it comes from. I don't understand.
I believe his body. I believe that's where it's coming from.
But like, how does he make so much so fast? I brush like an entire other cat out of him like every other day.
Yep.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yep. It's cats, dude. How do they work?
No one knows.
Like magnets, I have no freaking idea. Cats works in mysterious ways. Damn right, Morley Grey Pod. How you doing, by the way? I'm assuming it's Jen. How you doing, dude?
Shave it off? Never. Poor Thrall. I actually did the first summer I had him. I didn't have air conditioning in my apartment, and I debated shaving him because I thought he might be more comfortable. But then the internet told me not to, so I didn't.
He's so majestic. Don't shave him. So we finally got Zelda spayed, and her entire like bottom belly is shaved, and she just looks so sad and pathetic.
Aww.
Just the worst. It didn't seem to bother her at all. Like 7 days to the day, like she was just like, I'm gonna be nuts again. I'm mended. She's been fighting wicked, going nuts, running all over the place, jumping up and down, and I'm like, well, they said 7 days, and then you're good. And I guess so, because up until then she was like, I needed to pick her up and put her on the couch, and yeah, now she's just like, nah, totally back to normal. So, yeah. Chat room, I can't wait. I'm going to get some like gamer lights for the background. We're going to get shit lit up. It's kind of just gray at the moment. I'm going to, that guitar is going to go on that little column right there. I'm going to hang it finally. It's going to be nice.
We're almost at the point of drywalling. And then once we drywall, then we just have to paint and put the floors in. And then my office is going to be done. So I won't be in the living room anymore in like a month, hopefully. I'll have an actual legit office, you guys.
Y'all, we need to like do a fundraiser and get Joce like a Sony camera, like something with a nice lens, and she can get a dope ass soft background too. And then when we get Slissa on here, it's just going to be the Sony camera podcast where everyone has beautiful
Is that
blurry
what she
backgrounds.
uses too?
I believe she has no, she does, because we had to talk. She was the one who told me to get a dummy battery. She has the exact model I have. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Logitech's the Logitech is really not cutting it.
So I bought this camera body November last year, and Sony just came out with like its clear superior replacement. And now I'm just like, oh.
So you go buy that and I'll take your old one.
Whenever COVID finally ends, I will have shoots to go do. So extra cameras would be good. So I've still got my, where the hell is it? Oh, back there. You can't really see it because this beautiful blurry background, but
yeah,
I've got an old Nikon D5300 back there. So now I finally have two cameras, like proper lenses I can screw with. It's wonderful. It's so good. But that one like can only do video for 24 minutes and then just like shuts off. This one just goes until you're out of space. So anyway, all right, I'm going to take the stream down now because I am hungry and we need to get this posted. But thanks for hanging, everybody, and we'll see y'all later.